Chinese police are slow to rescue people but quick to retrieve a red flag. The Chinese table tennis team chef says Chengdu's meat is inedible. BJ News leadership gets fired. Electric vehicles frequently catch fire, and self-driving cars face challenges. Building collapse in Nanchang highlights shoddy construction and unfinished buildings. Deceptive and oppressive measures in China. During a flood, 2 police officers were patrolling by the river. Suddenly, someone on the shore shouted, "There's a person, pull him up quickly." In the video, an elderly man is seen being swept away by the rushing water. He manages to grab onto some steps. The 2 police officers slowly walk down the stone steps. It's unclear whether they're afraid of getting their shoes wet or being swept away themselves, but they stand on the steps and try to pull the old man up. From the video, it's unclear if the man refuses to come up or if there's another reason, but the 2 officers let go and then just stand there, watching as the man floats away. People on the shore keep shouting in alarm. Many netizens criticize the police for their slow and cold-hearted response. However, some say the elderly man had a floating device and was likely swimming in the river. Indeed, the video shows a blue float behind him. As this video spreads widely, another video leaves people speechless. On July 14th, in Akto County, Xinjiang, a red flag of the Chinese Communist Party was floating in the water. 2 police officers waded into the water hand in hand to retrieve the flag. Netizens questioned the police's priorities, noting that they risked wading into the water for a flag, showing their strong allegiance to the party. This highlights the so-called People's Police of China, who dared to retrieve a flag but not rescue a person. If the elderly man in the water really needed rescue, the 2 slow officers might have let him be swept away. It's clear that if you can help yourself escape a dangerous situation, don't rely on individuals or groups representing the government to help you. Political commentator Zhao Lanjian tweeted that Master Chef Zhang, who worked at the Chinese national table tennis team for over 30 years, has suddenly died. Chef Zhang was like a caretaker for the team, accompanying them to overseas competitions and knowing each athlete's preferences. A few days ago, the team arrived at their training base in Chengdu. In an interview, Zhang mentioned that the team's food was airlifted because meat was not safe to eat. A few days later, he passed away. Zhao Lanjian pointed out that Zhang appeared to be an honest person who inadvertently revealed secrets about the national team and the broader Chinese sports community. This unintended revelation exposed the truth about Chinese society, where it seems the government feeds its people poison daily. Poisonous cooking oil and contaminated meat and vegetables are widespread. Zhang, much like the late COVID-19 whistleblower Dr. Li Wenliang, was a timid person who accidentally did something that touched the entire society, leading to his death. Cameras must have failed this time, and crucially, the humanity of those controlling the cameras failed too. Zhang's death now joins the unresolved historical cases like those of Lei Yang, Qian Yunhui, Hu Xinyu, and the Tangshan girls. Zhao Lanjian claims that China is the most secretive and darkest society in the world, where money or power can achieve anything, including the death of a highly regarded team chef for saying the wrong thing. Netizens revealed that during a tour of a large pig farm with a bank executive, they were informed that breeding pigs were eventually sold as regular pork to nearby cities. A major pig farm owner also revealed even more shocking details. Zhang's mistake was simply telling the truth. In early July, Han Fu-tao, a journalist from the Chinese media outlet BJ News, exposed that oil tanker trucks, after transporting coal-derived oil, were not cleaned before being used to transport cooking oil. This report caused an uproar, prompting the State Council's Food Safety Office to announce a thorough investigation and severe punishment a week later. However, before any investigation began, the journalist and the newspaper faced repercussions. According to Singapore's Lianhe Zhaobao, netizens discovered that Han Fu-tao's personal Weibo account was deleted, with a screenshot showing that the account was closed upon user request. There were also rumors that Han had gone missing and that his Weibo was shut down, prompting some netizens to call for efforts to scare off the monsters and save Han. Currently, searching for BJ News Han Fu-tao on Weibo yields no results. Additionally, X-platform accounts overseas reported that the leadership of BJ News had been collectively dismissed. If they can't solve the contaminated oil problem, they can at least solve the people exposing it. Netizens lament that in China, telling the truth and revealing facts only leads to getting fired. Without encouraging truth, only flattery remains. Not only cooking oil, but also milk is contaminated. According to NetEase News, oil tankers used for transporting milk are also not cleaned beforehand. This report has since been deleted. The Chinese magazine Caixin also reported on the mixing of oils during transportation, affecting even waterborne shipments. Authorities have taken measures to prevent exposure by disabling tracking apps on trucks and using more creative methods like camouflaging tankers to evade detection. Unfortunately, this has long been an open secret in the tanker transport industry. As early as 2005, a report from Southern Country News highlighted the issue of tanker contamination, where trucks that transported hazardous chemicals also transported food. They mentioned trucks carrying gasoline and then molasses, diesel and then edible alcohol, caustic soda and then hydrogen peroxide. In 2015, Hunan TV also exposed that trucks transporting toxic chemicals were illegally transporting edible oil. Despite these reports, the relevant authorities did not take action, and the issue didn't gain public attention. This practice has continued for years, meaning many people might have consumed oil contaminated with various chemicals. People condemned the fact that it took over 9 years and the Beijing news exposure for anyone to realize that this poisoning behavior has been ongoing. Thankfully, the Beijing news report this time has made a significant impact, possibly because it involved several large state-owned enterprises and many well-known brands. The report caused a stir online in China. One of the implicated companies, Sinograin, faced widespread criticism and mockery.
No wonder there's been a gasoline smell every time I cook for the past 2 years. I could never figure out why, but now I finally know the reason.
This woman is also frustrated, wondering why she didn't notice the strange smell in her oil earlier. Now when I walk into the kitchen and see Golden Dragon fish oil, I smell it, and it smells like engine oil. The problem is, I've already consumed so much of it. Can I just vomit it out now? What's even scarier is that people don't know which brands of edible oil are affected by this mixed tanker oil issue. They don't know what chemical products might have been mixed into the oil they're consuming. So everyone is worried whether the edible oil they bought is still safe to eat. This is like a time bomb planted in our daily diet. After watching the news, I quickly checked the oil I just bought. It should be fine, right? It's produced locally here in Harbin, so it should be safe to eat, right? Can I use this brand of oil? Look, it just says it's repackaged by a subcontractor, which means they probably used a tanker truck. Those tanker trucks are surely shared, right? It's impossible that only one company uses them. Can this world get any better? Even if I avoid store-bought oil and make my own lard, I can't completely avoid takeout and restaurants, right? They just don't treat us like humans. We're like their livestock. From what we eat and drink to getting sick and needing medical care, they've planned it all out for us, haven't they? Some netizens also pointed out that back in 2017, a German testing lab found high levels of mineral oil in Laoganma chili sauce, as well as in products from Haidilao, Youjia, and Laogandie. Even Dove chocolate had excessive mineral oil levels. Now it all makes sense. It's not that these products added mineral oil, it's that the so-called cooking oil that they used was already contaminated with mineral oil. What exactly is coal-derived oil? It's a chemical liquid processed from coal, containing unsaturated hydrocarbons, aromatic hydrocarbons, sulfides, and other toxic substances. Long-term consumption can lead to poisoning or even cancer. If highly toxic chemical liquids remain, direct contact or inhalation can harm the body, affecting the respiratory and digestive systems. According to a report from the Beijing News on July 2nd, after long-term tracking and investigation, it was found that many tanker trucks in China transport both edible liquids like syrup and soybean oil and chemical liquids like coal-derived oil. The details revealed are shocking. On May 21st at 10 a.m., a tanker truck slowly drove into a grain and oil company. An hour later, the truck left the plant, loaded with over 30 tons of soybean oil. Few knew that just 3 days earlier, this same tanker truck had transported a load of coal-derived oil from Ningxia to Qinhuangdao, Hebei. After unloading, the tank was not cleaned before filled with edible soybean oil for further transport. That afternoon, another tanker truck that had unloaded coal-derived oil 3 days earlier drove directly into Sinograin Oils and Fats, Tianjin company without being cleaned. Without any inspection procedures, it loaded 35 tons of cooking oil. A tanker truck driver revealed to the Beijing News that to save costs, it's a common practice in the industry to transport both food-grade and chemical liquids without cleaning the tanks. This practice is an open secret in the tanker transport industry. When asked why this mixed transport happens, one driver explained that since tanker trucks frequently switch loads, each cleaning incurs significant costs. Given the fierce competition and low profits in the transport industry, they cut costs wherever possible. Some cooking oil manufacturers also fail to enforce strict standards. According to the driver, whether transporting cooking oil, lubricating oil, or coal-derived oil, there's hardly any inspection. If there is, it's only a cursory check of the tank's opening and rear. If those areas are clean, the entire tanker is considered clean. What the tanker previously transported and whether there are any liquid residues inside are not considered. Some manufacturers require dedicated vehicles for cooking oil. Drivers can easily bypass this by printing a few "for cooking oil only" labels on 4A paper and sticking them over the original chemical labels to pass inspections. What's most shocking is that China currently has no mandatory standards for transporting cooking oil. There's only a recommended standard, the Bulk Transport Specifications for Edible Vegetable Oil, which states that dedicated vehicles should be used for transporting bulk vegetable oil. Since it's a recommended standard, it has limited binding power on manufacturers. Thus, the only control over the transport process depends on the transporter's conscience. To save money, some tanker truck owners simply have their drivers wipe the tank's opening and rear with a cloth before loading cooking oil. A video exposed on the X platform showed just how filthy these oil tanker trucks can be. The video revealed murky residual liquids and lots of sediment at the bottom of the tank, making for a disturbing sight. An industry insider told mainland media that not all cooking oil is sold in small packages. Much of it is sold in bulk to packaging factories, which then label it with their brands and sell it in supermarkets. Some of this bulk oil is also purchased by food companies, such as Laogan Ma, to use as raw materials. After the incident was exposed, the companies involved tried to distance themselves from the scandal. On July 6, Sinograin Group issued a statement claiming they took the recent media reports about the mixed use of oil tanker trucks very seriously. They announced a thorough inspection across their entire system, including checking whether the transport tools meet food safety regulations and whether the transport procedures are standardized. This announcement sparked further outrage, as it did not include an apology or details on how they would handle the contaminated cooking oil, such as recalls or compensation. Additionally, they were accused of filtering out netizen comments. On July 8th, Huifu Grains and Oils Group, which was filmed having tanker trucks entering its facility, responded to the media by saying, "The tanker truck is not ours, and there are no quality issues with the Huifu brand oil from our company." Several publicly traded companies also responded to the incident. Brands like Golden Dragonfish